Hi, welcome to the Seimpi Education channel. I'm Flora here. I've been in the piano teaching industry for more than 20 years. And recently, some of my students suggested, why not I put all my teaching experience and knowledge in the channel so that they can use it to prepare for their teaching diploma especially. And I thought, well, that's a good idea. And that's the reason why I'm starting the video series on piano playing. And I immediately had the topic in my mind, and I thought that why not I start with talking about piano techniques first, because piano techniques, although it's a word or a term that most teachers or students talk about, but the actual understanding of it is still quite, I would say, quite vague in that sense, because piano techniques is the fundamental understanding of how you use your hands and how you project the tones and how you approach the keys, and in terms of how you manage to use your whole body, your whole mind, and your whole understanding of the music that you want to project to make up a performance. So definitely piano techniques play a very important part in piano education. So I'd like to start off with the most fundamental technique that each beginner should start with. That is the legato technique. So stay tuned. When we talk about legato technique, I would like to just start off with having my two hands working on the keys, like this. And this is a kind of just a visual way to let you see how your two fingers can walk, like how your two legs walk. And so basically you must have certain synchronization with what you do, especially when you walk. And with this, I would like to bring your attention to the seesaw. It's just like when you sit on a seesaw, imagine you have a child here and another child sits on the other side, and then so one goes down, the other one will go up. And then so it goes in that synchronization that helps you to be able to see that the seesaw is moving quite smoothly, and with the two children going up and down. And so it's the same for legato technique. It is basically about placing your two fingers on two keys and managing the downward movement and the upward movement of the two keys, like this. And then so sometimes children tend to misunderstand the legato technique. There are basically two sort of common errors that beginners tend to make. Now, either they do not join up the notes. So you can see that legato means smoothly. So in this case, when they look at the score, they thought the notes kind of appear one by one. So instead of playing it smoothly, they tend to play the notes one by one. I think it has something to do with how our mind perceives the notes. And it's not possible for us to join the notes when we put the notation on the paper or on the score. The most that we can do is to join up the notes with a slur. Like this Robert Schumann's melody. And if I demonstrate the first two bars for you, it sounds like this. And so this is the way the music symbol works. It helps to make viewers or readers understand that the notes need to be joined together well. And then so this is legato definitely. And what is another error that normally young beginners especially, or even adult beginners tend to make? That is to overlap the notes, like this. The reason they do that is because they are having issues lifting up their fingers while controlling the upward movement of one finger and the downward movement of another finger. And then this is not easy. And the children's muscles are generally still flexible. But for adults, when the fingers are not used to be lifting up like this, and it will pose quite a challenge at the beginning. And so for this type of issues and for problem, I normally would then advise students to refer to one of the exercises that you can find in the Play technical exercise. And normally what is suggested is like this. Place 5 fingers quietly, and of course take note of your curve position. Make sure that the hand position is as rounded as possible, and lift up one finger, probably play 4 times first like this. And I'm going to stop here for a while to talk about the 4th finger. Just take note that not to force yourself too much, because the 4th finger is built in a way that it cannot be lifted up as high as your thumb. Yes, your thumb is sort of having a separate bone structure. So in this case, not to force yourself too much, as long as you can lift up, then it's fine. And then your 5th finger, like this. This in a way to help you to build your muscles so that you can separate your fingers more easily. And if you have issues with the 4th finger, you can start off with having 2 fingers first, like this, or even 3 fingers like this. Because I understand how difficult it is to immediately ask the fingers to lift up as what I've just demonstrated to you. It takes years for me to be able to reach this level, but of course, for beginners level, you can of course do simple exercises like this to help yourself to strengthen your finger muscles. And how to strengthen your legato technique further. And I would like to then show you the way to practice the skills. And normally for young beginners, you start off with 5 fingers first, like this. And this is normally quite manageable for most of the beginners. And then the issue is, as what I said, some students still tend to play it in this way. Yes, so in this case, you will have to then probably ask them to practice with the seesaw first. Just start off with the thumb and the 5th finger first. This helps them to understand the concept before trying it out with 2 adjacent fingers. They might kind of move a little bit using a sort of a rocking movement to help them, but as long as they keep their fingers firm and not to collapse or flatten their fingers when they play, that should be quite good for beginners. And then so as you go further with practicing more skills, then their fingers will be strengthened, extending the length of the skills as well to 1 octave. And then so as they strengthen their fingers further, you can then choose repertoire, probably something simpler like maybe the melody from Robert Schumann first, and I will demonstrate the repertoire to you and make you understand why this repertoire melody from Robert Schumann's album for the young is suitable to be used to strengthen students' legato technique. You can see from this piece that the melody is mostly joined by the slurs, and except there are a few rests that separate the different phrases, and mostly the notes are joined together, especially for the first 4 bars. You can see that the first 4 bars is played this way. This is the first phrase, and the second phrase comes in straight. And let me talk about the common issues by beginners when they first attempt playing this piece. And apart from what I said of the 2 common errors that happen in beginners, another error that students tend to make is to make it too hard without having a consideration to make the 2 phrases as if like 2 sentences. Because what they see on the score is just merely notes. They are not looking at it as 2 separate sentences yet, as how we speak. When we speak, there are syllables that we emphasize, and there are syllables that we make it lighter. So it's the same as how we play these 2 sentences. And some students just basically join the notes. Like this, without any consideration to make sure that the right-hand line especially sounds like they are speaking in a sentence, like this. Apart from joining the notes using the legato technique, this is something extra that I would like to mention to you. The undulatory movement that you have on your wrist and forearm definitely supports you to make sure that you are more expressive when you play the line, like this. You have to time it in a way that the downward movement is perfect to play the first note, and then keep your legato smooth, and knowing how to move your wrist and your forearm to make sure these 4 quavers are done well, and lift it up at the right time before you move on to play the next phrase. And some students are not aware that you should have this kind of wave movement on your wrist and forearm to support your legato movement. And of course, the next thing is with the tone balance as well. And most students approach this as like this. And of course, this is not a very ideal tone balance that you want to hear for this piece. And then so, you have to, of course, remind students or remind yourself to keep the left hand softer because the left hand is doing the accompaniment. And then so how to do this? Definitely you need to work on controlling both hands to be of different dynamic range. We can start off with something simple first, like this. And this is at quite the same dynamic level. But if I do it this way, it's obviously that my right hand plays the notes louder. And then so what you do is you can ask students to match your left hand. Listen to the left hand and then match it well. And they have to match it with this. Yes, so of course, not only that be able to manage their dynamic level, you are also training students or yourself how to listen to two parts. And of course, this sensitive part hearing is very much in the training to train yourself to have a good ear. And then so, with this piece, of course, then I can bring you to a short excerpt with a popular piece. Recognize this tune? Yes, it's Ruma's River Flows in You. And then so this piece especially demonstrates how one should use the wave movement or the undulatory movement to make sure that the melody stands out, apart from making sure the left hand accompaniment is soft, like this. Although I use the pedal to help me to join the notes, but I can also play it with single hand without using the pedal. You can see that with a good movement of your hand, try to kind of glide onto the keys, you'll be able to try to join the notes even without using the pedal. So legato technique actually kind of involve quite a number of other hand movements as well. So in order to understand well, you should try to incorporate other movements in the legato techniques to achieve the optimal effect that you want. Well, I hope that those info and the demonstrations that I have done for you have been a great help for you to achieve the optimal effect that you want to play, especially for repertoires that you need to play in legato. And then so, after legato, I would like to talk about staccato in the next video. And hope to see you again in the next video, and stay tuned. Bye-bye.